Hello, dear friends. Human being is always ready to deny what he doesn't understand, and this denial prevents us from learning new things. Sometimes we reset ourselves. Opinion piece, collapse and renewal, the foolish joy, the primal scream, the Satori of Zen, a spiritual reset, Samadhi and Nirvana. Let's start. When the pressure of life becomes absolutely unbearable, a moment of breaking and collapse is reached, like the primal scream, when one loses control completely and seeks a corner to pout like a baby, because one is too ashamed to be seen. They are not tears of sorrow, but of joy, because the divine self takes over a surrendered and exhausted ego. It is not something that can be controlled, but happens spontaneously. To reach this extreme, you have to be totally cornered by life, to reach an extreme where you cannot stand yourself, and it is a liberating experience from which you emerge reborn and innocent as a baby, but enriched by the experience of life with a renewed vision of the world. This is not a bad thing, but something desirable as an infusion of divine grace. It is not something that can be controlled, but occurs spontaneously, as in the primal scream. It is not pleasant to go to this experience, because everything becomes very confusing and chaotic, but then you feel a great relief, just like when you vomit the poison. Excuse me. Grace. Divine grace is not something that can be controlled by any artificial intelligence, but it is something that all the mystics of the world beg for as beggars of God. When it is received, one feels cleansed, forgiven, and innocent as a child, for the heart strikes a blow against the ego and assumes command of the self. The blow is not always pleasant, but the result is happy. From then on, you rebuild your life with more sanity and less stress. You reconcile with yourself and realize that it was only a dream that worried you so much. This has to be experienced to be understood, because it cannot be explained in words. The mystics perceived this downfall by pushing themselves through austerities and penances, but this does not depend on the will of the human, but on the will of your own divine self, your inner God. It is like a tragedy in which you die and reborn happy. This personal experience is now happening on a collective level as social pressure increases. It can erupt in the form of a revolution, as in France, but it can also erupt as an intimate personal catharsis. I have had the good fortune to break down several times in my life, and I have come out renewed. It's very hard at first, but then you free yourself. The Scream. The Scream is the title of a series of paintings by the Norwegian painter Edvard Munch, who made it clear what was happening. In quotes, I felt the great scream in all of nature. He evoked a personal memory of a spectacular sunset in Oslo that gave the sky and clouds a dramatic red hue. It has become a universal symbol of anxiety, and is clearly a reference to the person screaming. We have all had those moments of despair. Primal Scream is a term coined by psychiatrist Arthur Janov in the 70s to describe a therapeutic technique that focuses on deep emotional release through the expression of repressed pain and trauma from childhood. According to Janov's theory, Unresolved traumatic experiences in childhood can cause negative behavioral patterns and emotions in adult life. Primal Scream is based on the premise that by reliving and releasing these repressed emotions, particularly through deep crying and screaming, deeper emotional and psychological healing can be accessed. The idea is that by fully experiencing and expressing emotional pain, trauma is released and greater emotional balance and well-being is restored. In Primal Scream therapy, the therapist helps the person connect with repressed emotions and express them intensely, often through screaming. Crying and pillow or mattress hitting. A safe environment is needed to explore and release these spontaneous feelings. People may face times when the pressures and stresses of life become overwhelming, and each individual may have their own way of coping. Some people may seek moments of solitude and allow themselves to express emotions such as crying, as a form of emotional release. We all face challenges and crises in life, and we can often find strength and personal growth from these experiences. It is an intense and transformative experience, where there is a sense of release and renewal after going through a period of great pressure. The foolish joy. I once saw a man lying on the floor laughing uncontrollably with happiness. I thought he was drunk or had taken some drug, but then I realized that this experience was genuine, and I even felt envious of him, because he had found some degree of Satori or Enlightenment, and it was something so good that he couldn't control it, just like the mad mystics. Foolish joy is used to describe a state of extreme joy or happiness that may seem irrational or childish. It is a feeling of happiness for no apparent reason, where one feels full of joy and positivity for no specific reason. It is as if one experiences a feeling of uncontrollable and carefree bliss. This state of silly joy can arise in moments of relaxation, release of tension, or when one is in a pleasant and satisfying environment. It is a feeling of well-being and fulfillment that it is not linked to a particular event of achievement, but arises spontaneously. In short, silly joy refers to a state pure, uninhibited happiness in which one is filled with joy for no apparent reason or specific justification. The Zen Satori. Satori is a term used in Zen Buddhism to describe an experience of enlightenment or spiritual awakening. It is a state of deep and direct understanding of the nature of reality, beyond conceptual limitations and duality. Satori is a moment of no mind and total presence, the Japanese term for enlightenment in Zen Buddhism. Satori is considered a moment of sudden revelation or realization, in which one transcends the barriers of the ordinary mind and comes to a direct, intuitive perception of the true nature of existence. In this state, one experiences a sense of oneness and connectedness with all that surrounds one, and transcends distinctions between subject and object, subject and world. Satori is not something that can be achieved through rational thought or intellectual study, but is a direct and personal experience. It is said to be beyond words and concepts, and is attained through the practice of meditation and the observation of reality as it is, without attachment or aversion. This can be seen in the famous Zen anecdote, in quotes. Before enlightenment, rivers were rivers and mountains were mountains. When I began to experience enlightenment, rivers ceased to be rivers, and mountains ceased to be mountains. Now, since I am enlightened, the rivers are rivers again, and the mountains are mountains again. Samadhi. Samadhi is the state of consciousness attained when, during meditation, a person feels that he or she is merging with the universe. In various East Asian mystical traditions, Samadhi is considered to be a state of meditative, contemplative, or recollective consciousness in which one feels oneself attaining oneness with the divine. It refers to a state of deep concentration and mental absorption in which the mind is unified and focused on a single object of attention. Samadhi is characterized by a deep tranquility in which mental distractions and fluctuations disappear. In this state, one experiences a sense of wholeness, peace and connection with reality beyond the limitations beyond the limitations of thought and duality. It is important to note that Samadhi is considered an advanced spiritual state and may require practice and discipline in developing concentration and mental stability. Nirvana. Nirvana is a central concept in several traditions of Buddhism. It's a state of ultimate spiritual liberation and realization, considered to be the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path. Nirvana is the state of liberation from both suffering and the cycle of rebirths. It consists of liberation from desires, suffering, individual consciousness, and the cycle of reincarnations. Nirvana refers to the cessation of suffering and the end of the cycle of rebirths. It is a state of peace, bliss, and total fulfillment beyond the conditioning and limitations of the world of appearances. It is described as a state of complete liberation from attachment, hatred, and ignorance as the root causes of human suffering. Nirvana implies a profound realization of the true nature of reality and the overcoming of the illusion of the separate self. It is the realization of emptiness, i.e., the inherent non-existence of all phenomena. In this state, lasting peace and serenity is achieved, free from the attachments and desires that generate suffering. It is important to note that Nirvana is considered a state beyond conceptual understanding and is said to be beyond words and descriptions. End of this subject. Reset news. According to Michael Snyder, millions of citizens are moving in before the chaos. X22 report. Bill Holder opines that there will be 2 resets and that gold wins in the end. He adds that we are in a recession and heading for the deep recession. The old system is dead and central banking will try to bring the world into its new system. Logan B says that the Galactics claim that the dark movement is rapidly being resolved. He adds that the Grey Hats won't do it, so we implore the Elders and the Galactics to do it themselves. We are continually told that we have to choose the timeline of light. We did it in 2012 and thought we were done. The silver market is entering a period of tightness not seen in decades, as silver has become so important to the solar industry. Goldilocks says it's worth the wait. Tier 1 banks are getting an upgrade. This upgrade is compatible with SEPA and SWIFT payments. Its purpose is to facilitate cross-border and international settlements in an efficient manner. The upgrade supports multiple currencies and allows seamless transactions in multiple units in a multi-currency account. This allows you to hold, receive, and spend multiple foreign currencies as you wish. The adoption of this new rule allows people to exchange currencies in the new digital system with the confidence that their money will be safe. The final rules take effect 60 days after the date of publication of the Notice of Adoption in the Federal Register. This puts us from August to early September for international trade to be available on the new gold-backed international payment system. Germany insists on delaying Ukraine's entry into NATO. Spain. The heat wave activates the alert tomorrow, Monday, in more than 30 provinces, with Córdoba and Jaén at extreme risk at up to 45 degrees Celsius. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.